Multifamily Mindset
Podcast. Think bigger.
All right, aloha and welcome. My name's Tyler Devereaux, and I have two awesome guests with me today, in Bo and Kaitlyn Burrup. Bo, Kaitlyn, what's up?
What's up, Tyler? We're so grateful to be here. We're stoked.
Dude, grateful to have y'all here, man. Okay, so their background, I'll do a quick, intro to your background. So you came through the program June of 2021.
Yep, that's right.
Both of y'all are bad A, D1 athletes. Kaitlyn, the biggest bad A.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
I'm the athlete of the family.
That's what she thinks.
So, Kaitlyn, you were in track. What events did you do in track and field?
I did 400 hurdles. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, a bad A.
Yeah.
It was a tough race, but it was good.
Dude, and where did you do that at?
At BYU, down in Utah.
I love it. And then
Then I played baseball at BYU as well.
a pitcher, a lefty, right?
Yep, left-handed pitcher and probably the most athletic in the family, but we'll leave that for debate.
For another
Right
day.
now, he's the most athletic because I got an excuse.
Yeah, Kaitlyn is, we're how many months pregnant?
About 8 months.
Dude,
We're due in January. Yep.
For another little boy.
Yep.
You have a 2-year-old and now about to have another little boy, which is exciting.
It'll be awesome.
That's awesome.
2 boys.
So so let's get into this whole journey because you guys' journey is amazing. You were a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
You were helping somebody with single family flips.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were doing your first single family flip, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And then, so is that what made you decide, like, let's go to this freaking conference and do this thing, or?
Yeah, well, actually, Kaitlyn was out of town in Florida working on those Airbnbs, and we saw that multifamily was coming to town, Multifamily Mindset, and I messaged her. I was like, hey, do you want to go to this? Looks like they're talking about apartment, something bigger than what we're doing. And at the time, we were just in the single family grind, which, flipping your own house with a 2-year-old. We had pictures of Baylor with the house unfinished and all that stuff, which was, it was just kind of overwhelming. And she was working for that other company. We're so grateful that she had the opportunity to work with them and grow that. But we were just our time was gone, and we were just going separate ways in a way, trying to build 2 different things.
Yeah.
We weren't even aware of syndication before we went to that conference, and our goal was let's own 20 doors, 20 single family doors. That was kind of our ideal dream, but going to the conference it opened up a whole new world that we didn't know was possible for us.
I love it. And listen, y'all listening, I should have said this in the very beginning, but today's episode, you're going to learn a ton from today's episode. Not only are you going to learn a ton, you're going to be inspired, man, because their journey is amazing. How old? Mid-20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mid-20s, and they just told you how they started out. They were doing flips, realtor, decided to come to a class. This is this dated recording, so June 2021, we're a year and a half down the road.
Year and a half,
And we'll get to where you're at now, but it's no joke, man, and there's a reason that they got to where they're at now and why they'll get to where they're going. And really, I believe it's because you made a commitment. That was your biggest thing.
Yep.
Chatting with you, I've known you guys for a year and a half now. You guys both help tons within the multifamily mindset. You guys have helped a ton of students since you guys have started. So I know a little bit about y'all for sure, but just your mindset and everything that you have going into it. So what was your mindset when you went to that first class? You decided you're going to dive into multifamily, and then you decide to do that. What made you decide to do that?
With sports, honestly, one thing that I always go back to is when you're playing, you kind of have a title on you. You have a purpose. Every day you're going to the weight room and you're grinding it out, right? For that future thing that you're going to have. Every day you have something to get better at. When that ends, I think that's a tough period a little bit as far as what do we do that's next? What's going to push me every single day like that? And I feel like that's a hard period. And so when we showed up to this, and what the difference was is we just learned something that we can grow every single day and hold each other accountable, but also be around people that's going to push us and want us to inspire us to grow as well.
Yeah, that would be a tough thing. Mm-hmm. You have this identity, and then all of a sudden that identity changes.
Yeah.
And so were you cognizant of that? Were you like, man, I need to find something else to wrap my identity up in?
Yeah, it definitely felt like something was missing, especially for me, because I was doing this stuff, working with Airbnbs, but I just didn't have that same drive that you had when you're in sports. And so, when we were doing at BYU, we had a mental strength coach that taught us all about how to become the best athletes we can and apply it. But then after being removed from that for a year, we kind of lost that, and like we had the concepts, but like didn't know how to apply it in our life now. And Multifamily Mindset in Dallas like helped us like figure out how do we apply this to our lives and into the business world and really push ourselves to be the best people we could be.
Dude, I love that. I also love that you had a mental skills training coach at BYU as well.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had something like that in high school, you know? Like, I wish that I knew mindset-wise what I know now. I wish I knew that in high school.
Yep.
I mean, I was a wreck. I'm still a wreck, you know? But I was a wreck back then.
Yep.
It's huge.
It was like truly amazing, just like to journal, right? To have all this stuff to grow in your sport. And then, I mean, seriously, once we found out that you can do this in your everyday life and journal and, you know, be able to look back on what were 3 things that went really well, you know, what's something that you can improve on, like finding that after sports was like huge for us to be able to see a new vision.
Yeah.
And when we started this journey, we were 100% bought in. We're like, this is the direction we're going. There's no way out. We're not gonna try and like find a way like, oh, it's not gonna work. Like, okay, let's just do something else. It was like, no, we were committed 100%. Like, this is the direction we're going, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to do it.
And I believe that's absolutely a rarity. Like somebody who's truly committed. I think there's a lot of people who want it to work. They hope that it works, but they're not committed to making it work. And because committed to making it work, like it's the same to being committed to anything. Committed to marriage, committed to being a good parent, committed to being a good anything. You know, being a D1 athlete, a track star, a baseball star, like that commitment. Let's tie these two in. Did you make a commitment that you were going to freaking dominate in track and same in baseball?
Yeah.
Were there challenges?
Absolutely. I had a year I struggled, and then he had a year he struggled, and it was rough.
Yeah.
But it was all about figuring out, okay, how do I course correct myself and remember what my goals are.
Yeah. So tie that into the business, okay? You guys come in June 2021,
Yep.
hot, ready to roll.
Yep.
Any challenges that you saw?
Absolutely. I think the first thing is realizing that you're going to have fears and thoughts, and it's that you have to recognize those right off the bat and realize where are they coming from and have your focus on what can I control. And as soon as you have that mindset to catch it, realize that it's just a fear, I'm going to focus on what I control and see what happens. That's the separator.
Yeah. Any specific examples of, because I love that, catching yourself in everything thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then correcting. It's all about momentum. Like there is a rhythm to success. There's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
So you're trying to maintain that rhythm, and then all of a sudden something throws that rhythm off. Well, what happens? It takes too long for people to correct it. But when you catch yourself like that, then you can correct,
Yep.
maintain the rhythm, maintain the momentum.
Just getting started in this, the story that comes to mind is we had a 137 unit deal in Kansas City, and we were submitting an LOI on everything looked good. And it ended up that in our underwriting we made a mistake, and really we caught it early enough to not get in trouble. But basically we went from having this deal, everything's ready to go, to absolutely nothing, starting from ground zero.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like when you get that humbling experience, you're so, like you put in so many hours, you're like, yes, we did everything right. And then it's like, well, it's all gone, start from scratch. And that's where the people that want to, succeed, and you'll see the separators is right there in that moment.
Yeah.
Who's going to take the next step to get you rolling again? And who's just going to stop and be like, unfortunate.
Okay. I love what you just said, like that separator right there in that moment. Did you recognize it in that moment though, or did it take a second to be like, okay, this is a separator?
I think I'd say it took us a second, and then every time since when we've had those setbacks, like we've gotten over it quicker. Like yesterday you were talking to us about like falling forward,
yeah.
And that's like how we've tried to have our mindset is like you fail forward, like yeah, we've learned all this, we've gone this way, but and then we hit a roadblock, but remembering that that's only taking us a little bit back, not nearly back to the starting point that we were at before we started that. And so that's how we are with like a lot of the properties that we find that, it starts out good, and then we're like find different things that like, what, this isn't going to work. It's hard and to get over that and not get attached to the deal and realize like, nope, this isn't what's right for our investors, and learning from it, figuring out, okay, what are we going to do better next time to catch this earlier, and then moving on to the next deal and not settling in that.
That's so good, man. That's so good. And it gets easier every time, and this perspective. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, looking at it to being grateful as well. like being grateful that we've learned and we caught this, early, and being grateful to like push as far as we've gone. Because then once you look at it as like, holy cow, I've learned so much, instead of, oh, we failed or oh, this, it's like, oh man, I'm this close. I'm right there next time.
Yeah.
It changes everything, the way you look at it.
It's so fun, bro. It is. When you change how you see things, the things you see change, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just our perspective is the point, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. The perspective is it. So I love both those perspectives. The perspective of, man, yeah, we may have had a setback, but we're not even nearly setback to where we really where we started. And that perspective alone gives you energy. Mm-hmm. It gives you just excitement, Yeah. Yep. And then this mindset of just gratitude. Gratitude is a life hack, dude. I just believe it. Mm-hmm. Gratitude is how I find perspective. It really is. Like in any moment. I'll tell you this morning, I'm driving early morning, dude. Late night and then early morning to go record marketing videos at one of our properties out here in Orlando. And I'm just driving. I'm not in a bad mood, but I didn't go to the gym because it was early, and early morning I couldn't go to the gym and do both. I couldn't do both. And I like to go to the gym. So I'm driving like, man. And then Rowan, who, our CPOO, sends me a song randomly, dude. Sends a song, and I click that song on, and all of a sudden everything brightens up. Like, I swear on my life, I see the fog. I'm like, God, the fog is beautiful. I see the sun rising, and I'm like, it just got me to gratitude. I'm like, man, this is so beautiful and great. And gratitude is a life hack. If we can switch it to gratitude, our perspective changes.
Yep.
Yeah, it just does. So
that's awesome.
You're going through. You hit these stumbling blocks. Okay, so that first deal, just think about this perspective to y'all out there. You come to this class, you leave the class, have this first deal. How did you find out, by the way, that the numbers weren't working, that you needed to back out?
Yeah, we had some help from other people, having them look over the underwriting and looking over. We were going to do an assumable loan on it, and there was no big red flags initially about how large the prepayment penalty was going to be, and someone helped us catch that, hey, let's look into this a little bit more.
And that was Ryan that actually had us ask that question to the broker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan Woolley.
Yeah, Ryan Woolley.
I love it. Which is why you guys are so smart. You're athletes because you're coachable, and you're successful athletes because you were coachable, and you're physical specimens, obviously, okay? But you're also successful in this because you're coachable. These characteristics, they transfer over, Mm-hmm. So you catch it. Was it hard, even once you caught it, was it hard to be and still pull away, even though you had caught it?
A little bit. I was very much attached to the numbers. I'm like, well, the numbers don't work. It doesn't make sense. Let's not continue going forward with it. And so initially it was hard though, just because it was oh man, we thought we found our first deal. Yeah. But one thing we learned early on is be attached to the numbers, not the deal.
So I
was gonna say, that's why you have good partners, because I'm like a roller coaster over here. I'm stoked, and she's like, numbers don't work. I'm like, what can we do? What can we change? And that's why you have good partners that nope, this is how it is.
You guys actually remind me so much of me and Britt, because I am this. I'm an emotional being, mm-hmm. Highs, I am. And Britt is even keel. You're very just even keel. You have this grounding energy, which is beautiful. You remind me of Britt and I for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, which is good though. That balance is awesome,
Yep.
Okay, so that's how many months into the program, into the business, had you guys been when that happened?
That was
3 months.
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just painting this timeline. So 3 months in. Mm-hmm. A lot of people quit right there. A lot of people back out right there. Mm-hmm. They just do. And I see it happen all the time, which is crazy to me. When did your next deal come after that?
Yeah, so we had another one that just the loan didn't work out with the interest rate as well, all the way aligned. And then it was right after that one, we landed our first deal that was 272 units, and it was within 6 months of starting the multifamily mindset that we closed it.
Yeah.
272 units. What was the purchase price on that one?
That one is $16 million.
$16 million, mm-hmm. And where was it at?
It was in Park Hills, Missouri. Right?
Dude.
Yeah.
So awesome. And how did you find out about that deal?
Yeah, so we had, going back to what Multifamily Mindset teach you, adding value to people. And that's what we really tried to do those first 6 months, is build our network and add value. And so we actually got brought onto the team because they had already had it under contract, and they wanted our help, and we had that value to be able to provide to fill the gaps of what they were looking for. And so because of that value and putting ourselves out there and working really hard for those 6 months, it's what allowed us to be able to be brought on.
And
So good.
I think going back to who we met at that multifamily event was a guy named Judd Tolman, and he's now our business partner. And we are so grateful for that dude. He's an incredible human being, him and his family, but he also opened up the doors and the vision for us.
Yeah.
And after forming a partnership with him now, he had connections that brought us in onto that deal. Jake Dean was part of it, and Jed Johnson.
Yeah.
And Judd, knowing them and taking us under his wing in a way at the beginning, open up the vision, has been the biggest blessing for us, because now that's our team. EFIS Capital is with Judd, Kaitlyn, and I.
Yeah. So think about how cool that is. Like, those of you who don't, the initial class that went to our 3-day class, he meets Judd Tolman. Beast. I love Judd. Like, you're a great human. He's a great human. Judd has taught me so much about, like, seriously, relationships. Like, I met Judd when I was in my early 20s. And I saw this dude, how he dealt with people in a sales environment, because I met him in a sales environment. And he was the kindest person, man. He was the kindest person to everybody that he met.
Yep.
I just love that about him, and I learned so much about that. And then I want to tie this back into you. So you network. So think about this, though. You network at that event. How many people go to that event without a purpose? Like, they're just there to maybe learn. Maybe they're a little skeptical. I don't know. I know that maybe there's some doubt. Maybe there's some skepticism. But if you found a partner at that event, that to me tells me that you maximize that event. Like, your mindset going into that event. And I saw you guys build your network over the first 6 months, and I saw the impact that you were having. Dude, you put yourself in places and situations to provide value, to help, to just get your name out there. That's huge. That is huge. And that's an actionable for every single one listening, is like, do those things. That compounding effect of consistent effort. Consistency is the key, dude. Consistent effort, then 272 units. That's a beast of a deal, man.
It's
That's a
huge.
beast of a deal.
We're
Yeah.
stoked.
Yeah,
And
and we didn't initially form that partnership with Judd. Like, it wasn't until about that 6 months that we officially did that, and it was just constantly staying in touch with him, showing our value, showing him our underwriting, and realizing that, hey, we have there's a gap that you need filled, and there's a gap that we need filled, and we're able to come together and do great things now.
And to me, looking at it as its success, it's like, okay, who do you want to be around? If you want to be around those people that are successful, that are high achievers, then you need to put in the work to be able to add value to them. And as soon as you do that and you have that mindset, then when I go to, guys like Judd, Jim, I'm asking them questions all the time, and, just picking their brain to be able to learn.
Totally. Like that. So I know that you guys didn't partner right after the event, because we wouldn't do it. We would never. I would never partner with somebody, any of us. So you guys know this now, because you're more interconnected now. Right at the event. Why? Because there's a proving ground. Like, that proving ground is, you're interested, but are you committed? There's a lot of people who are interested, but are you truly committed? First thing that we started talking about in the very beginning was just, we made this commitment. Before we got on camera, they said, we made this commitment to do this, and that was it. And so that's it. Like, there's this training ground, and then you also said you kept in contact, providing value. It's these same basic principles that compound over time that result in that. Great first impression, way better. Great first impression, but the real impact is over the next 6 months of all those things that you did. It's huge.
And that's how it's been with the different sponsors we've talked to and other partners that we've worked with. And showing that value, and then over time, we've eventually had, I've had people that have been in the industry for a long time come and bring me the underwriting and say, hey, will you just look over this and give me another set of eyes? I'm like, really? I feel like you're the expert in this industry. You've been doing this for 20 years. But when you provide that value, that's how you build relationships with people.
Totally. Okay. So I'm going to hone in on this. One thing, I've invested in Park Hills, that deal you did. I invested, a couple $100,000, and it's an awesome deal. You guys are crushing it on that deal. Awesome. I get my passive income check every single quarter, and it's a good one, man. That's a great deal, man. And right now, you just think about today's market. Right now, today's market, how many people are getting passive income checks?
Not very many.
From Bitcoin, the stock market.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys. I'm always grateful when people bring me passive income opportunities. Once again, that's a great deal, man. In the Midwest, that's a great deal. But I want to hone in on what you just said. You said that people will experienced sponsors will bring you deals to underwrite. Okay. How many deals, I just want everyone here to listen to this. How many deals do you think you've underwritten over the past year and a half?
Looking at like all of them, well over 500. And a lot of those are deep dives into that, you know. It's about, like, if you spread it out over the last year and a half, about one a day where I've like really dove into the numbers and tried to figure out, is this going to work? If not, you know, move on, or otherwise continue to pursue and see where it takes us.
Dude, that's it, man. Listen, 500, well over 500. Bo, you got to pick it up, bro.
He's the one that's bringing them all to me. I'm like, okay, slow down.
That's where your relationship is beautiful, man. You guys build these relationships. You're sourcing deals. You're sourcing investors. Bring them here to validate, to keep investors safe. This question of why should I passively invest in deals, that is why. Because as somebody who you go make active income, you are not going to be able to look at 500 deals. I mean, you just won't. Oh, well, you can. I guess everything is about time, right? But 500 deals, like how long is it going to take you to look at 500 deals? And if you've underwritten 500 deals, do you think you know at this point what you're looking for?
Yeah, you know a lot of the questions to ask. You know how to adjust the numbers and move them around to try and make the deal work. And if you're out there trying to do it on your own, like I can't imagine how hard that would be.
But I want you to understand. I want you to hear what I'm saying right now. For you to hear it. I started a long time ago. Well, a long time ago. I don't know. Everything's relative, right? 8 years ago. But I want you to hear what I'm about to say. You have underwritten more deals than I have. You've underwritten more deals than I have. So I want you to understand your value. But why have you underwritten more deals than I have? Because that's your skill set. Ryan's underwritten a ton of deals, and it just filters up to me, and I just try to poke holes in it at this point. I know what to look for. Yeah. But Kaitlyn, your ability to just dive in and fully commit has taken what could take years and years and years and shrunk it down to this, which I'm sure people look at this and they're like, okay, early 20s, like, okay, are these like, should I really trust these individuals with my money? Like, can I really do this? Age is nothing. Are you kidding me? No. Why have I trusted my money in their deals with these individuals? Because of who they are. And who you are committed individuals, man, where you took something that could take 500 deals. I want to drill in on this long, and you shorten it down to here, which means you're an expert in the space, man. You're an expert in the space, which is why it's easier for you to raise capital, Bo, because, I mean, you have somebody that can make sure that you're keeping investor money safe. And how much better is it when you go and you talk to an investor and you're confident that the numbers that you're presenting them are solid numbers?
Absolutely, and that's the best thing about it to all the investors is that I want them to invest only because of this deal and the numbers itself, right? That's it. Like, the numbers itself is the separator. And then knowing that, like, she's underwritten it and picked holes at it, and she's not attached to the deal just because it looked good initially, that it's the numbers right now where they stand is huge.
Huge.
And what's like really helped me like learn so much in the underwriting space is like listening, like hopping on calls with Ryan. Like Ryan's helped me learn so much and how to look at different deals and creative strategies. And one of the biggest things is I ask questions. Yeah. If I came to something I didn't know, I wouldn't ask. And that's what's helped me gain so much knowledge in such a short period of time, is that I wasn't afraid to ask the questions, even if they might have sounded dumb, and that was like initially took me a little bit to get to that point, because I wasn't a very confident person. Like I had a lot of fear based. I didn't necessarily have the self-belief, and eventually I learned that I was like, who cares? Like if I want to make it in this space and I want to learn, like I got to be willing to ask the questions. And so that's really what has helped me learn so much in such a short period of time.
Dude, I'm going to say this in a way that I need you to just hear how I say it, dude. Like, I'm proud of you guys. Like, and that not in the most sincere, like loving, like brotherly way. Like, I'm proud of you guys. Like, just for that transformation, because it's something I still struggle with to this day. Ryan does not struggle to ask questions. We are where we are as a company, all companies, because Ryan's ability to ask questions. Ryan's ability to be like, dude, if I don't know it, I don't know it. Like, and I'm going to ask. And in the beginning, we'd be on calls, and I'm like, feel like I need to have like, okay, man, we need to go in this thing, like, and like show the. But dude, and he would ask a question, I'd be like, oh shit, Ryan, we should probably know that, bro. but I didn't know it. Either did he. And then you don't need to know everything, but you will know things because you ask questions. And that's, once again, these separators of being committed, like you guys mentioned in the very beginning. And that goes far past just this initial phase, which we'll get into, but committed, massive amounts of consistency to be able to get to that many deals to shorten your time in learning, and then continual learning. Like, learning never stops. So just always asking questions, because really, if we're not asking a question, it's because we're just focused on this short term. When in reality, we need to have this long-term, bigger perspective. Y'all have that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Seriously, it's awesome.
And I think that goes back to like what this did originally that she hit on, is being able to believe in yourself and being able to see, yourself growing and yourself getting better, because as soon as you do those things, that's why you ask those questions, is because you're wanting to improve and wanting to get better. And that's the belief system. That it all starts back to like that you can do whatever you set your mind to. You can do this business, and as soon as you tell yourself that, you're gonna figure out what you need to do. And that goes back to asking questions.
I don't know why that just hit me. That just hit me hard. I loved it, because as I'm hearing you say that, you just consulted my nephew, Isaac and Corbin, and as I'm hearing you see, so Bo comes and helps us at our events now, and you sat down with they were coming to the event. I knew they were coming to the event. They're 20 years old, but I didn't know, And so as you're saying that, I envision you saying that and how you handle yourself in your consultation with Isaac and Corbin, and you made a huge impact on them, bro.
Those are some studs, and I love that opportunity.
They are some studs, and that meant the world to me, man. When you came in and you were congratulating them, like,
yeah,
bro, I wish you could have been there for that. It was awesome. And I just believe, here's what I believe. I want you to hear this. I don't believe that there's anybody on that team, that could have got them to where they needed to be to make that decision. That's a big decision at 20 years old, and you got them there. But you got them there because of what you just said, man, which is self-belief. Like, you got them to believe in themselves and their ability to do it. And that's literally one of the biggest gifts that you could ever give to somebody. So I love you, and I'll love you forever for that.
Absolutely.
You're my family. You guys are family, but like,
for sure, we're grateful for you, man. We've learned so much, and what this does for people. I mean, so many people need to see themselves thinking bigger, to see themselves believing, because as soon as you change that, and as soon as you think like, oh, I can do this, like, doors open. And that's what this did, is it just really opens that up, and you're just like, man, this is how life needs to be, is people supporting others to be bigger and to be held accountable for those choices you're making.
That's so true. It's that belief. Belief unlocks so much. So can I ask you a question? Is there anything that you do tactically to enhance your belief? Like when you're feeling like your belief is being limited, is there anything that you do tactically, or anything that you've learned how to do where a strategy to help you enhance it? Or is it just a mindset?
I think one of the biggest things is that we talk to each other and we open up when we have those things, and we'll call each other out. I mean, sometimes it sucks, and I remember multiple instances where I would say something and she's just like, well, hey, you need to just figure it out, because that's not the right way of thinking, and I'll call her out on the same thing. Sometimes when you get that, though, and she just tells you that, you're like, oh, dang, that sucks. Like, you're like, but you're right. Thank you for helping me understand that. And it's like, okay, I'll get better.
And Bo's been really, so big for me, because like I said, I didn't have, belief. I wasn't confident. I went through BYU's finance program, and I sat in the back. I never asked questions. I was intimidated, and that's how I was, up until the point of, coming in the program, was I didn't believe in myself that I could do things, and Bo really helped me, and then you and Ryan bring us on. We partnered with you guys on a deal, just that belief that someone else believes in me and that I can add value really helped me. And then the coaches too, they bringing me on to the company as the underwriting coach, that just instilled in me okay, they believe in me, so I should believe in myself.
Oh, I love that. That's how it works a lot of times, huh? Like somebody else, gosh, there's so many actions for what you just said. I love that you guys communicate that way first. Like, I love that. Because it's out of love. It's like our whole meeting yesterday was about feedback with love. You know, if it's done out of love, that's it. And you being willing to give that, and then being able to receive it is critical as well. And then this critical aspect of showing belief in others. You know, like you never know what somebody's going through, and to really, I believe, I got asked. I was on Emily Ford's podcast just recently. And she asked me her thing, she calls it the it factor. And she says, what is your it factor? I knew she was going to ask that because she asks that on every interview. And so it really made me think, you know, like, what is my it factor? I don't really know. But it made me think, and I'm so grateful for that because I really thought, and I listed it out, and what I wrote down was the ability to see the potential in people and really believe in them before they can even see it or believe in themselves. But the reason that is a superpower of mine is because people have done that for me, and I've known what it's done for me. And so when somebody does something like that for you, and your belief is enhanced, you're like, dude, I want to be that person for somebody else. Yes or no? Yeah. Which is why you wanted to come on and be a coach. Which is why you wanted to come on and you know, help at the events. It's like, because you see it, man, and you want to help other people do that. That's a huge responsibility, but man, it's an amazing opportunity.
For sure. And I think so many times because you don't fit the specific mold of how someone else is, then that makes you not right. Like there's something wrong with you because you don't think that way, you don't. Where in this business, it is so cool that there's so many different roles that you can go into to be the best like be the best for yourself. Because, like, for me, if you left me to the underwriting and all that stuff, I mean, we'd have some issues.
Amen,
like,
bro.
I mean,
I
struggle with, like, Excel. I mean, I'm like a dinosaur over here trying to, like, okay, how do we put equals, you know, to get that? But that's not my skill set.
Yeah.
And I figured that out, though. That's what it goes back to. What are you good at? What do you already have? You know, what are your talents? Now let's go and execute those and get the best at those, because that's how you're going to add value to other people that have different skill sets.
I love it. Did you know that right out the beginning, like at the class, you're like, I'm going to be a good underwriter. I'm going to be good at capital raising, relationships with brokers, those kind of things?
I knew for sure, like, underwriting was my skill set, like graduating in finance, and then I helped do analyzing for some of the Airbnbs and the flips that I was doing with the owners, and so that I knew from the beginning that was what was going to be my role.
I love it. Same?
Yeah, same for me, as far as, like, I think this is what I want to do. And then you go out there and you're like, holy cow, where do we start, right? Yeah. But then that goes back to, as soon as you have those thoughts, you catch them and be like, you know what, I'm a professional, and I'm going to go do what it takes to learn to have those investors trust me.
Yeah. You know, I love that you identified it right out the gates, because I knew that I love to communicate. I love people, and I knew I loved to communicate with people, but I didn't see that as a skill set. I didn't. So I left the class. I'm like, well, man, and I really never saw it as a skill set until this business. Until I saw two things. I saw that there was this need. I saw that people really struggled to raise money because this communication, they didn't like communication. Like, they didn't like to communicate with people. And I was like, I actually like this process, you know? And I saw that people saw that as a skill set. And then I saw that people, it's a need. People need to put money to work. And I just didn't understand that because they didn't have any money to put to work at that point, you know? But they need to put money to work. So I was like, man, this is a huge... That's what I saw the value of communication, to be able to communicate with investors and to be able to provide that value to investors and different partners and brokers and all those kind of things, you know? So that's awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything, so let's talk about where you're at now. So you did your first deal, 272 units. Second deal?
Was Coventry, and that was 128.
128 units. I'm a partner on that deal, sponsor on that deal as well. Also have money passively invested in that deal. And it's in where?
It's in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. Purchase price on that one?
$13 million.
I'm so glad you remembered, because I couldn't remember off the top of my
head.
13, it's like 13.44.
So if you guys aren't doing the math out there, that is
$29 million.
Leave it to her.
Leave it to the underwriter. Boom. Man.
$29 million and 400 units.
$29 million of real estate, 400 units, a year and a half.
It's pretty amazing. And we've had one, actually, 77 units that we just fell under contract. We were under contract for quite a while, and it had a bad roof. And you think about, like, that excitement, right? Everything we've learned, we're finally cruising. We got two done. Now we're going to just close. And we had to step away because of the roof, and it was $1 million to replace it. So then what do? A week later, we're submitting an LOI on a property next door.
And
Next
it's
to
like,
the line,
It's like 72 units, so.
And it just gets back to, like, when I called Bo and said, like, hey, like, we're terminating the contract, it's just the sellers don't have room to negotiate, and so it's just we can't continue with where we're at right now. Yeah. I said, but, like, although we don't get this deal, we built relationships with some brokers, we learned X, Y, and Z, and, like, there's potentially a property that might come available soon, and so that was, like, even though we had this negative, we tried to turn it into a positive.
Yes. That's a life hack too. Like, hey, this is the negative aspect of this, but let's pull the positives from it. Because really, in any experience, we can pull positives if we look for them. But sometimes we just look at whatever the result in that moment is, and maybe it's negative. And this goes both ways. Maybe it's negative, and we just hone on the negative. Maybe it's positive, and you just hone in on the positive, but you forget all the other stuff that happened. Like, I believe one of God's greatest gifts is reflection, to be able to reflect back and be like, but we don't use this gift. Most of us don't use this gift properly. To be able to reflect back and be like, okay, this is what I learned. This eternal perspective, this growth perspective, right? This is what I learned. This is what I can implement to this bigger, greater thing it's never just a deal. It's this bigger thing that we're working towards, right? And by bigger, I'm not even meaning real estate. I'm meaning as people, like challenges we overcome, like the more challenges we overcome. I think that's why I love the business, because the business poses a lot of challenges. And the more that you overcome them, the more that your belief enhances.
And the biggest challenges, I feel like, when you look back after achieving, like overcoming them, is when the most growth happens. Like the successes are great, but when you have that, defeat, and then you bounce back from it, that to me is when you see the separators and the most growth.
Totally. Could not agree with you more on that. Like, it compounds, right? So that's another perspective to have. When you're at a stumbling block, when you're having a challenge, when you have some sort of a negative, a setback, understand that your ability to just take the next step past that will expedite your growth massively because you overcame this. I love that perspective, bro. That's good. That is good. So any advice? So tell me, what's in the future? What's the goals for Bo and Kaitlyn Burrup? What are your guys' goals?
Yeah, we have some big goals. We want to have 2,500 units under our belt and be able to just keep growing, as far as in our portfolio, in apartments, but also in life. Like, just become better in all aspects, become better spouse, become better in business, better business partners, better father and that sort of thing. And I think once you have that mentality, the growth just keeps going. You just open a door and go to the next one.
It's inevitable, huh?
Like, for us, like, the reason why we want to do real estate, because it sets us up, one, financially, and helps our investors financially as well, and puts us at a point that we can then go and serve and give back to people. And that's, like, what brings us a lot of joy, is being able to help other people out. And so this career and this path in real estate allows us to have that freedom to be able to do that. Yeah. And so that's why we really love real estate and what we're doing right now, because the impact we can make for people.
I know it. I can tell that you guys enjoy that stuff. I can tell that means a lot to you, because I see you do it on a daily basis, man. You with the coaching and you with the events, like, from the beginning, dude. From the very beginning, you were like, you guys wanted to help and do that kind of stuff. That's who you are as people. And I believe money is just a tool. That's it. It's like money amplifies you. And I know money is already amplified you, and it will amplify you even more, because you guys use the tools that you've been given in the best way. And I respect you so much about that. Like, and money is one tool. Great. I'm talking about all the tools you have. You recognize them and you use them, and you use them as a couple. Like, man, I just look at your kids. What an amazing example to be able to learn from. Like, y'all, like, seriously, think about how much you are able to, like, spell out for them at such a young age. I mean, gives them a huge head start, They're lucky little kids, man. Lucky little. If they don't, anytime that they doubt that and they don't know that, you send them to Uncle Pete, and I'll send them straight.
All right.
Lucky kids.
Well, like you say, we can't thank you enough for the ability to see that growth and the ability to see that in ourselves. because that's what allowed us to grow, and that's what we want to do to other people. Working with, Corbin and Isaac this weekend, your nephew, was just like, I love to be able to see them believe in themselves, and that to me is where happiness comes, and it just goes full circle to keep growing.
It is, dude. It is, man. That belief in yourself is you have that, you can create anything, especially happiness. And happiness is the best of anything to create, Mm-hmm. And with happiness, you can create anything. You just gotta be. My mom used to always say, happiness breeds positivity, and positivity breeds success. So be happy.
Yep.
Love it. Okay. Any advice? Any advice that you would give somebody who's listening to this that's doubting their belief in themselves, doubting, insecure about, the value that they have, or insecure about their journey, their direction? Any advice you would give them?
I would say find someone that's going to help you see your true potential. Like, that's what we've been for each other, is we push each other, and that's like, we want to be here where we're at without the other. And so whether that be your spouse or friend or family member that can help you reach your true potential, like, find that person to hold you accountable.
That's good.
That's good. I love that. And I think for me, like on an individual basis, is I want you to question yourself, where are you making shortcuts right now? Listen to music instead of listening to podcasts. Like, catch all these small details in the beginning that will help you, right? Same with the fear. Start catching yourself thinking negatively, thinking with a negative, like, oh, I'm this, or oh, this is unfortunate. And start catching those right away, because those small things you'll see in your day-to-day life, you'll start to see big changes after you catch them.
Could not agree more. As I'm sitting here talking to you and hearing your story and hearing the things you're saying, seriously, in my mind, I ask you, what advice do you have to give? And then in my mind, I was like, man, we haven't talked about any high-level strategy thing. Like, we haven't. It's because that's not the separator. The separator, all those small things that you just said, finding people to surround yourself with that actually just believe in you and support you in what you're doing. Like, what a blessing to be able to have that. And then the small things. My life changed. Britt's changed my life. My wife changed my life. But when I started to change her life is when I started to do the small things. Because I was doing the small things. When I started doing that, that's when I started to give her what she had been giving me for years, Yep. Small things like you just said, listening to podcasts, not scrolling on Facebook. Like, if I go to the bathroom for me is a trigger. It used to be a trigger, scroll on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Now it's a trigger to, I read my book. It's these little things that stack up to big things. I love that you just mentioned the little things, man. It's the little things that bring the big results, and it's the little things that most people skip.
Yep.
Don't skip the small stuff. Man, hone in on the small stuff, improve the small stuff, and you'll have the big stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Y'all are amazing, man. How can people get a hold of y'all? How can they get connected with you? Which every one of y'all need to get connected with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Best way, we're on social media, just Bo Burrup. If you look that in on any social media platform, you'll see, or EFIS Capital as well. That's our
tell them what
there.
EFIS means.
So EFIS is a pitch in baseball that you kind of show up a hitter in a way. It's like one of the slowest pitches in baseball that's basically lobbing in there, kind of like, hey, here it is. And so Judd, our business partner, loves baseball, and so we had to throw that in there.
Dude, I didn't even know what an EFIS pitch was, and so
yes, Google YouTube some of the best EFIS pitches you've like in MLB, and it'll crack you up.
So have you ever thrown an EFIS pitch?
I have not. So that's why didn't get the opportunity.
Dude, now have you ever been thrown an EFIS pitch?
I have not.
Of course not, dude. You're freaking crushed.
Yeah,
man.
I would have took the opportunity.
They can try to show your ass up. Hey, we'll put all your links in link to your website, link to your socials, everything in the bio for sure.
Perfect.
So man, connect with them. And listen, if you pulled value from this episode, which listen, you absolutely pulled value from the episode, because how could you not pull value from the episode? Go share this thing. Rate, review, podcast, great, but share this episode. People need to hear what Bo and Kaitlyn just told you. And it's selfish not to share, man. Go share this, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you, and we really appreciate being on here. But seriously, reach out. Like, we love to jump on a phone call, or help out, share our story more, or get to know you. Like, reach out. Like, we'll comment back. We'll jump on a call, whatever you need to. That's part of what being here has done for us. Is it's helped us, one, learn from the best, being with you, being with Ryan, and those type of people, but also want to share that inspiration back.
Yeah, I love that. That's a success principle, man. Provide value. I love it. I'm going to end with the Hawaiian value. We typically end with the Hawaiian value. And the one that I put in here was many. So it's Laulima. And Laulima means many hands. It's just tied to cooperation and people working together. And I didn't know what route we were going to take. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. But if you think about that, people, when I think of Laulima, a lot of people, I think, when they think of Laulima, probably myself included, think of like working together, like this actual work. But really, man, the best work we can do is on each other, like meaning helping each other enhance their belief, helping people see the value that they have and the skill set that they have. That's how we work and grow together as human beings. And human connection is the most powerful thing. That's why we're here on earth, is to connect and to grow. So, man, grow others. Love y'all, man. I love who you are. Just lost the lights all of a sudden, man. Shut the lights out. There we go. But hey, I love who you are as people. Hear that and internalize that. I love who you are as people. And I'm grateful to be associated with you. So grateful for all that you pour into the network, everything that you do. Love y'all. So thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Tyler.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler.
And all y'all out there, live always with aloha. Peace. Multifamily Mindset
Podcast. Think bigger.